The true history of the Gully, is a very untold story.
There was the whites and the blacks that lived here. They was all battlers, and they all got on pretty well together.
I suppose because the racetrack hurt them so much and their families that some people never came back, but they never stopped having their connection back into the Gully.
This is what this is all about. It's about getting the community wanting to tell the true story of the place and actually opening people's eyes to the values that are in these areas.
For our people, the Gundungra people, it was a summer camp. So we would come up here in summer and go back down to the Burragreen in winter. What's here is springs, and you never run out of water. And it's really fresh water.
Water was just a key element and an attraction to not just the Aboriginal community, but the broader community. They always talked about the Sweetwater.
Because of the swamps, you have the right environment for food sources. So you could gather, hunt, and live here quite well.
Ron Fletcher's my name, and I was only born up the hill there at the old slaughter yard. My mother was born down here in the Gully, and I lived here in the Gully before the Catalina Lake went in. It never done no harm to the people who was living here. It was the racetrack that done all the damage.
In 1957, the council approved the construction of the Catalina racetrack, and that resulted in the eviction of the Aboriginal people from the site, but it also caused significant environmental damage when they bulldozed the racetracks through the bushland and through the swamps. In the process, they also bulldozed the settlement that occurred in this area.
My name's David King, live up in the Blue Mountains. Mum was born up in Katoomba, in the Gully, we call Guggery, and in the mid-1990s, one of my uncles passed away. They then told us we were Aboriginal, and they told us we were Gundungra. After finding out I was Aboriginal, I then found out about the Gully story, and then I found out about my mum, about where she was born, my granddad, Essie Cooper. So for me, this is a connection, and it's a very strong connection, and it's very important, especially as I learnt all about the Gully people. As I learnt the stories, started to read the books, found out about its history, it just became a bit of a special place in my life.
There was significant damage to the social fabric of the Aboriginal community that was here, and families were uprooted that had lived in the Gully for generations. But there was also significant damage to the bushland, and Guggery Swamp Care started to try and reverse that environmental damage and try and restore the swamps in the Gully back to their pre-Catalina racetrack condition.
So our first goal when we sat down and thought, okay, where do we start? There's a lot of weeds, there's a lot of bits and pieces we could do here. They always talked about the water down here always being sweet and fresh. Basically thought we'd start with the swamps. There's a couple of swamps that are very degraded. Because there's a couple of drainage lines being put in here, it meant that the swamp itself lost its centre. So it's sort of now running a bit more like a creek than a swamp. We removed some willows, and what we're trying to do is reuse the willows then to create the swamp so it comes back into its natural form.
Having the Guggery Swamp Care Group really made a huge impact in 12 months. It's like we're bringing the swamp back to life.
When we first got onto the site, it was very, very degraded, and there was like, wow, we're going to be here for quite a few decades. And then with that little bit of funding that we did get to be able to use for the contractors, it was just brilliant to be able to get a good gap in the actual weeds, and then I think it's sort of spurred everybody else on.
The Swamp Care Group is a fantastic group, partly because it's under David King's leadership. He's created a real community, family atmosphere around the land care group. So there's lots of kids get in touch with nature through the process. We always have great food, great morning tea, and there's lots of stories being told.
Bringing the Gully community, in a sense, back through this sort of swamp care is bringing a lot of connections that might not have happened if we hadn't got down here and started doing some of this work.
And there was no electricity down here, even in my time. I know they've got it, I know. We've all come together again, and we're all so pleased that on what's going on here now. I always feel like today just coming here. It's a place I want to come to.
I've been doing bush care for quite a while now. I think it's very fun. I like getting muddy as well, so as you might be able to see, I've got a bit of mud on me. Yeah, it's kind of fun around here.
To me, this project isn't just about revigorating the environment and caring for the swamp. It's about caring for people and giving people the connection to country and being able for them to pass on that connection to their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and also to the wider public, and getting the wider public involved in caring for environment and country.
We're just continuing what our ancestors did, look after our land. So it's about the people from the Gully literally being the people who have a voice in the Gully. Our people can actually make proper decisions on what it is with Blue Mountain City Council.
The council has a co-management agreement with the Gully traditional owners, so that any decisions that are made in the management of this place are made in consultation with the Gully traditional owners.
Because at the end of the day, it is public land and everyone has the right to come here and enjoy what we're enjoying today. It's been a happy place and a sad place at times, so we're hoping that the sad times have gone completely and everyone will be making new memories here.
Well, one thing I'd like to say is for people, when they come to the Gully in the future, or now, in the future, respect us. Respect the Gully as Aboriginal place.